Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the iGPSPORT BSC300T cycling computer. iGPSPORT's BSC lineup of computers are affordable and compact cycling computers tailored for everything from new cyclists to expert cyclists. The new BSC300T is the latest addition to that lineup and offers a color touchscreen as a big upgrade to the previous top-of-the-line BSC300. iGPSPORT has taken the opportunity to also improve the user interface and add additional compatibility with e-bikes. As far as packaging, you can see a nice and simple box. It has great color graphic of the computer right on the front, basic branding, and then multiple languages on the back describing some of the specs. I'll go ahead and open this up and we'll go over the specs. So retail price on this is $149.90. It's actually more affordable than the original BSC300 price. You have a 2.4-inch color touchscreen, which is a new addition here, and you get the same 320 by 240 pixel resolution. You get 20-hour runtime, which is impressive given the slim design. And you also have e-bike support, so you can see your gear and battery status, as well as a real-time segment, which lets you create segments on the iGPSPORT app and see them in real time, just like Strava. You also have, again, that Garmin mount, so you can mount this on just about anything. As far as what comes with it, you can see basic packaging here, and then you have a little sleeve on the back that holds the manual, and then the handlebar mount, a very simple puck design with two O-rings. You'll notice there is no USB Type-C charging cable here, so you do have to use your own, but it is USB Type-C, which is a really nice modern interface. So the computer by itself, that is 65 grams, and then the handlebar mount with the two O-rings and the rubber backing, that is only 10 grams. Visually, the iGPSPORT BSC300T looks almost identical to the BSC300 with a compact body and a slim profile. The computer is only 82 by 53 by 14.5 millimeters, so it's very compact and has a relatively small 2.4-inch screen with some bezels on the top, bottom, and on the sides. iGPSPORT has updated some of the branding with this model, and you can see it's much more simplified. You have iGPSPORT on the bottom, BSC300T written on the side, and then the iGPSPORT right off the front. So it's pretty clean design. You don't have any labels for the 6 physical buttons on the screen anymore, so it looks a little bit sleeker. And then you can also see you have this carbon fiber design around the bezel, which gives it kind of a premium look, and combined with the sleek semi-gloss black plastic, it looks a lot more premium than the retail price would suggest. You can also see there is a USB Type-C port, and they've moved it from the bottom to the bottom side, so now you can actually access this while you're riding, so you could theoretically charge this while you go. And you can see it's really shoved down in there with a nice thick cover. So it's nice to see that here. And when it's closed, it's nice and sleek. You have 2 buttons here, a laugh button, a play pause, and then you have 3 buttons on the right side. So that's pretty nice with so many of them. They're really limited to the action, so you have a dedicated up and down, so that's great for menus or switching the ride screen. You have a separate one on the top right, which has different functions depending on which screen you are, and then the power button with the little red indicator. You can see otherwise they've kind of made the bevels here nice and sleek and thin, so it looks pretty good, but again, relatively small with the 2.4-inch screen. As far as mounting, you can see you have a Garmin mount, and it's molded directly into it. So unlike the higher end iGS800, which has a metal mount, this is just plastic, and you can see molded right in. Like all the Garmin mounts, you just have these 2 little tabs that stick out, and those will lock into the matching slot on a mount. So you can see here we have the handlebar mount, you rotate it, and it'll lock into place. So a really cool mount design that you see with almost all the computers on the market. They include a very cheap mount. So this is a very basic puck style. So you can see it's just plastic, little rubber backing, and then 2 O-rings that go around each side and loop over. You can put this on your handlebar or your stem, but we'd highly recommend getting something like this, an out front mount. And they're pretty cheap. You can get plastic models like this one, more expensive metal ones. And you can see with this, you put it right in front of your stem rather than having it here or below. So great viewing angle, and you can put a light underneath. Now let's take a look at the setup of the iGPSPORT BSC300T. So you can see when you turn it on, you get a nice animation. And just like the other iGPSPORTs, you have the same familiar menu. So you can go up and down. You have navigation, ride mode, training. Yeah, their segment feature is really cool. So you can see if I click segment, these are segments I've uploaded from the app. You have training. So this is where you can set up your workout, smart trainer. You have the ride mode. This is where you can select the different ride profiles. So indoor, outdoor, and you can actually rename these on the app. Here you can just add or remove them. And then you have the navigation feature where you can see your routes and then previous activities. Under settings, you can do all your basic settings. So sensor connectivity, pairing a phone, power management, theme. This is where you can actually change some of the colors. If you want to change the background color. System gives you a lot of the additional options, backlight settings. Here we have it maxed out. And you can see with the touch targets, it's pretty small, but it does work, so it makes it a little bit faster than the buttons that you had to previously use. But you can see you can use a combination of both. You go back, you can do all the other ones. It's a lot easier just to use the app for the initial setup, and once you have that, you can start riding. To start riding, you just hit the play button, and then you can see now we're in the ride mode, and it'll find GPS, start recording the data. I can still use my up and down, and I can swipe. The cool thing about this is you can also change settings and sensors on the fly. So you can see I can just do that while I'm in a ride, do a search, and then it will search for whatever's available, which I don't have any currently. And then additionally, from here, you can connect the app, so you can see weather, notifications, adjust the brightness, see the time, temperature, which is pretty convenient. So pretty simple setup. You can also adjust the configuration of the screen, so the layout, through the app, and it'll be applied here for each profile independently. Now let's take a look at the iGPSPORT BSC300 in action. Starting it up is really easy. Just hold the power button, you get a nice little graphic, and then it boots up very quickly. The touchscreen is nice and bright, especially at 2.4 inches. The colors are nice and vivid, and you can quickly load up a navigation route. As with most computers, you don't really see much detail of the navigation route, except for a little overview and the text. So once you pick it, it'll help you get to the start, and then you will see that it'll load GPS, and then automatically start the recording. So really easy to use. They made the experience nice and simple, so you just press the play button on the bottom to go to the ride screen, and once it has GPS and it detects movement, it automatically does a recording with the auto recording setting, so you won't forget to accidentally not record it. You can see here it's in the night mode, so it's dark, but then in the brighter conditions, they'll switch to a white background, and you can also change that feature. Navigation is a big weak point for these computers, though. You can see the map view doesn't have a lot of detail, and with the smaller screen, everything is fairly cramped, so a lot of text will go off the screen, and you have basic arrows to indicate the route. The prompts are fairly basic. It's just left, right turn without the street names. And then the navigation can be very frustrating. If you have any overlapping routes, it'll tend to do the wrong one. So it'll send you backwards when you just started, or send you back to the start if you're just about to end and it overlaps. So definitely a rough part. It's the same feature we've seen with a lot of the other computers like the iGPSPORT 800, and they just haven't really resolved it yet. Here you can see the daytime mode with it. Very bright screen. This is 100% brightness to really make it more obvious on the recording, but it's nice and vivid. Really like these radial views. You have the curve views, and even though it's fairly small, the text size is nice and large. The headings are not bold while the text is bold, and everything updates pretty quickly. We're easily able to connect to our radar system, our bike lights, and everything really quickly and easily. I also really like these radial views, so you get the nice speed on top, where you see your average, max, and current all in one place. The other really cool feature about this is the iGPSPORT segment feature. It's very similar to the Strava live segment feature, but you don't need a subscription. You don't need additional app to be connected. With this one, you create the segments on your iGPSPORT app based on previous recordings. And then here you see a little profile of the whole route. You're offset from the king of the mountain, so your best time on here, and then the distance remaining. So it's a really cool feature, really intuitive, and it works automatically offline, and even if you're not on a route. So just based on your current route, it'll find anything nearby. You also have these really cool shortcuts on the computer, so just a tap will show you the time and some quick shortcuts. So if you want to know the time, you just tap anywhere, which is a nice feature, as well as the drag down from the top to see notifications, weather app, and other features. Again, the 300 is fairly small, especially having just reviewed the iGS 800, which is 3.5 inches, but packs a lot of punch, and again, really bright and vivid because of the smaller size. But the segment feature is one of our favorites. It works pretty seamlessly, so as you're riding, I'll find the nearest one. You'll see the prompts right on top of it, so navigation or radar. And then when you finish the segment, it'll automatically give you a little progress report. So it'll update the previous personal record if the other one's older, and it'll show you your deviation from your best time or KOM. It's a really cool feature, and again, you don't need a subscription or additional apps with this one. It just seems to work really well. As you can see, it's a pretty simple design. You have 4 tabs on the bottom. They're pretty well designed even though it's a small company. You have Home, Activity, where you can see a nice history of all the rides you've done. Then you have Device. This is where you can connect to different devices. Here we have the BSC300. And then under My, this is where you can set up your segments, your training data, your heart rate zones, and other specific information. So starting at the home, you can see you have a nice view of previous rides, your goals, training recommendations, as well as the recommended routes, which is kind of interesting. It's based on your local location and other riders. On the activity view, obviously you can see your rides. If you click on one, you can actually see the ride you did. You get a nice overlay, and then you can see additional details and metrics. It's not as good as Strava or other apps, but they do a pretty good job, so you can get a nice overview, and you can even see some of the training status details. And then if we go back here, you can see we have the device, and under devices is where you can really do the configuration of the computer. So just like the other computers, it's a little bit confusing the way they've laid it out. You have fields like data management, which is uploading any routes you've done. And that's actually pretty fast on this. It uploads really quickly. You can connect sensors from here, which is kind of cool. The one-click navigation is where you can actually just set up a route. Notifications, firmware update, and you can see a little red symbol there indicating I have an update available. To configure the pages, which is really the whole point of this app, you want to click the ride mode. This is where you can create different ones and rename them using the keyboard on your actual cell phone. Under page configuration, here's where you can really customize it. So you can see on this page, we have the nice radial view, and that matches the first page. So you can see it matches this. What I really want here, though, is probably more fields, so I can edit this. You can change the layout based on these 2 options. It's not the greatest design. The other ones have nice drop downs, but this one you can add additional fields, and you can see here I can change it if I wanted cadence. And if I wanted to split this, you can see I could go to a 4x4. The other pages have different views, and because it's fairly small, at 2.4 inches, you can see you can only get 4 rows of data or 2 animated ones. So you can do the curve or the round radial view, depending on what you want to look at, or you can just do the curves here and multiple of them in different colors. You also have the map view. This is where you can customize the bottom 2 items. You have the altitude view, and then you have some target power and some additional graphs here for workouts. You also have that King of the Mountain feature, which is a live segment. This is where you can customize the page. So you can see remaining distance, time behind, time ahead. So it's nice and customizable. There's tons of fields to pick from as well. So you can see there's popular, distance, speed, lap speed, maximum, timers, elevation, distance. You have shifting, power, DI2, the light, which is kind of interesting. So you can see light, battery, remaining time, and then graphic data like the cadence, heart rate, and other options. E-bike is a new one. So depending on if you have the compatible e-bike, you can see regen mode, assist mode, e-bike battery, and even the segment data. So it's a pretty cool one. I also wanted to show you the live segment setup. So just like Strava, you can set up segments, but it's all based on this app. And you do this by going to My, and then you can see there's a segment section. And here are some previous ones I made. To create a new one, you can create it from a previous ride. So based on your history, you can go find one. So say this one, I can go adjust the start and end points and pick that. You can't just create a segment on the fly, so it actually has to be something you've done before. So that's one limitation, but it's still a pretty cool feature. And then you have fine grain control on start and ends. And then you can see elevation profile. So we'll abandon that one, but you can see the previous ones I've created, and then you can update them or press send, and then it should upload to the device. So let's see if I go back, go to segment. Now I have the Hawk Hill on there. So pretty cool feature. And again, it's really nice to see this on these budget computers. You don't see that often. The one annoying thing about the iGPSPORT app is the navigation setup. It's really pretty awful. So under My Routes, you can either import one, and when you import it, you seem to lose the turns, or you can create one manually. And again, this is really kind of painful. So you have to pick a point, set starting, go to the next point, set end point, and you can keep going. So pretty painful. It's much easier just to import it. But overall, a decent app, and this is where you can really configure the device really quickly. Here we actually have the original BSC300. You can see almost identical in shape and size. The design is very slightly tweaked just with the bezels and other small details. The really big difference is the color touchscreen. You can see same brightness on both, but this one, if I want to go to history, I'd have to click up, down, find it. With this, I can just swipe, tap it, and I'm ready to go. It's a lot more convenient to use. They both have the nice shortcuts of pressing play, but now I can swipe between my screens instead of just using the buttons like you had before. So definitely a nice upgrade, and they're almost the same price, so why not? So definitely worth it. And you can see the branding has also been reduced, so you don't have all these logos and the icons. They've removed the labels and gone with a smaller iGPSPORT logo, so it looks a lot sleeker. If you want something bigger, they also have the iGS 800, though it's double the price, but you can see huge 3.5-inch screen. It's not quite as bright, so the contrast on here isn't as nice as you get with the BSC300 because it is a bigger screen, but otherwise you can see a ton more display. And they also have training information, so you can see training load if you use a heart rate monitor, and you get the same live segments and other features, but definitely bigger, and you get the metal mount, which is cool, and carbon fiber on the bottom, which again looks a little more premium. Cheaper computers like these Coospo model we have here has this predefined grid. That's one of the big downsides of these smaller ones, and that's similar to the BSC100. So the nice thing about 300 is you get a pixel display with a lot more detail and graphics rather than a predefined grid. Bryton also has quite a few options. Here we have the S510, and this actually has a removable mount, so you can swap in the Bryton one with the Garmin one, or vice versa. With this one, they have a nice screen as well. I really like their screen's bright, high contrast, so similar to the iGPSPORT. But with the Bryton, I've always found it just be easier to use. So with this one, it has a nice display, and then the navigation prompts are simpler. You don't get lost. You actually get turn-by-turn direction. So that's what I like about the Bryton. And Bryton also has a similar model to the iGS 800, which is their S800 model, and you can see gigantic screen. And with this one, again, you just display tons of information. And again, Bryton has really nice navigation as well as simple shortcuts like the menu and the quick access features like navigation and other features. You don't get the live segments that you do with the iGPSPORT. So that's one downside of the Bryton, and that's a new feature they've added here, which I really like. And I do like this little quick access shortcut that you also have on the Bryton, but a little bit more customization option. But it's really nice to be able to just tap and see the battery and time. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the iGPSPORT BSC300T. What we like about it is competitively priced. You get a nice color touchscreen at a pretty affordable price point. You also get their real-time offline segment display, which is a really cool feature from iGPSPORT. It's equivalent to the Strava live segment, but no subscription required. You also have a nice responsive touchscreen with intuitive design. So very easy to use. It's essentially one touch start. You hit the play button, auto starts the recording. You have auto pause and other features. The main negatives of these computers is the fact that iGPSPORT has unreliable navigation. So if you're riding somewhere new, it can often lead you a little astray. So if you have overlapping routes, it'll send you backwards. And then if you slightly miss a turn or the GPS is a little bit off, it'll try to reroute you instead of just putting you back on the right track. The other con is that the touch targets are a little bit on the small side, especially with this 2.4-inch screen. So when you're wearing gloves or other bulky items, it can be hard to use a touch versus just the buttons. Taking everything into account, we'd give the computer an 8.8 out of 10. It's a nice budget computer with a touchscreen. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.